All right. Welcome everyone to History Happy Hour, Dia de los Muertos Traditions. I am Ceci Richardson Salvador. I am a visitor services representative in the Idaho State Museum. And thank you for joining us tonight. The Idaho State Historical Society includes the Idaho State Museum, the State Archives, the Historical Preservation Office, the Old Penitentiary, and a few different historical sites around the state dedicated to preserving and promoting Idaho history through programming like tonight and on-site visits like visits to the museum or to the Old Pen. We offer dynamic and engaging programs that serves Idahoans across the state and have done so that for 140 years, and we want to keep doing that. We also want to thank all the Idaho State Historical Society members who hopefully are joining us tonight. Thank you for your support and the work that you help us do in Idaho. If you are curious about our membership, please go to history.idaho.gov/membership, and you will be able to find more about it and join us. Dia de los Muertos is our theme today, and Dia de los Muertos is a cultural holiday that honors the lives of loved ones that have passed away. It's celebrated throughout Central America and South America, and as well now here in the United States. There are many traditional celebrations, but one of the most recognizable is creating altars for deceased and loved ones that have passed. The tradition of creating an altar is rooted in a very, very rich ancestral tradition, and is full of symbolism. And it keeps engaging generation after generation in the keeping of this tradition. Tonight, we have our panelists that are going to be sharing about the history and symbolism of these traditions, and as well as other traditions associated with Dia de los Muertos. But before we jump in asking questions to our panelists into the conversation, I want to find out where are you guys are connecting from tonight, our audience. Open your chat bar and share from where are you from. Through the night, that's the best way to communicate with us. If you have any questions, or if you have questions for our panelists, that's the best way we can go about it, and we will do the best to answer all the questions. Thank you for sharing the places you're coming from. I'm going to give you a little bit of time. Some people is coming from Garden City, the North End, Southeast Boise. Oh, lovely. Thank you. Not too far away from the museum. All right. Oh, Omaha, Nebraska. Nampa. Yay, Nampa. Awesome. Thank you for responding. Cuna. Yes, Cuna. Santiago de Chile. That's so lovely. I am pleased to see people from other parts of Latin America. Yay, Santiago, Chile. With me tonight, we have three amazing people. Fonda Portales, which is an art historian and university art curator and collections manager of the Boise State University. Thank you for being here, Fonda. Then we have Ana Maria Schachtell, which has done so much for our community. She's an educator and a cultural activist, and she was a spearhead for the Hispanic Cultural Center here in Nampa. Thank you for being here, Ana Maria. Ana Maria has many other things that is a long list. And finally, Angel Bustos, that has been in our community for a long time, and he's coming back and forward from California and Idaho now. He's an educator. He went to the University of UC of Berkeley and studied Latin American studies. and he as well is a musician and a performer. Thank you all for being here. All right, I think now we're gonna jump into the heart of our history happy hour, like I like to say. Dia de los Muertos is our theme. I wanna ask the first question that I have formulated for tonight to Fonda. What is the role or purpose of an altar during Dia de los Muertos?
Hi, thanks for having me. So the ofrenda, or the altar, is often a multi-layered space where people leave offerings for those family members that have died. So it might be helpful to think of the altar kind of as a metaphor. So those altars, those levels are really meaningful in terms of what they represent in a Mesoamerican world, in a pre-Columbian world. And so often those altars take the shape of temples or sacred spaces. So if we think about the ofrenda as a connecting point, or for those 2 days, kind of a center of the world that unites the world of the dead and the world of the living, that's a kind of broad metaphor that might help. But on a very personal lived experience, the ofrenda is the visual symbol of all the memory work that we do to honor our ancestors. So it's another way, as we are building it, as we are thinking of things to put on the altar, it's another way to spend time with them, even though they're not physically part of this experience anymore.
Sorry about that. Ana Maria, thank you, Fonda, for that. Ana Maria, the same question. What do you think is the role or purpose of an altar during Dia de los Muertos?
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me today. I really appreciate it. I love this tradition. I think this is one of the most important traditions in Mexico, in the Mexican culture. And I think it's becoming popular, not only in the United States, but all over the world. You know, this is a really a wonderful tradition because it serves to bring families together. And that's kind of the same, the main idea of setting up an altar, an ofrenda, is that everyone participates in the family, you get together and put this wonderful remembrance of someone in your family or several members of your family, you know, and you just have these times with your own family, just passing down stories about that specific person. Everything is very positive, music, and it's just a way to pass down traditions and also the history of the family with stories about that person or persons. I see it as a way of you know, getting the family together, but not only with the living, but this is an opportunity to kind of get together with your ancestors, the people that have died, they have gone before you. And to me, I see it almost like a stage, you know, a stage, because it's taking place. Everyone comes together, the living and the dead per se, in spirit. And so they share a meal together, they share stories, and what a best manner to pass down traditions.
Thank you, Ana Maria. Ángel, what's your take on the role and purpose of an altar during Dia de los Muertos?
When I was growing up in Mexico, we have Dia de los Muertos and we have the altar. I never really thought about it. My mom does the whole thing, you know? She puts a table, she gets a really nice cloth, white, we call it mantel. It's got a lot of nice, beautiful designs, right? She puts it there, and then they cook them the food, whatever it is, the food that we eat, because it's also pretty much the food that my grandfather used to eat, right? So it's like there's a continuation of the food we used to eat. At the same time, you have food that's specifically for Dia de los Muertos, like calabazas, you know, like basically sweet potatoes, right? And it's like in syrup. and it's something that we only eat during Dia de los Muertos, right? So you got all this food, and you got like oranges and fruits and whatever, which I thought was funny because we never ate fruits and whatever, but now they're all right there. And then they tell us, so your grandpa's coming, and then all of like the other, his brothers coming, and all of the people that are gone but dear to us, the pictures that were there, they're coming, they're gonna eat the soul of the food, okay? And then when the Day of the Dead is over, the next day, we eat the food. And I always thought, that's a pretty sweet deal. Because to me, it's like, hey, the food is right there, I just have to wait a day, right? And I never really thought about what it meant. But now that I'm older, I think I know what it meant for my mother, that picture of my grandfather and his brother, they passed away in 1962, and it was very tragic, but that picture is always on the wall. You come home from school, you look at it, and then you walk away or whatever. But now the picture is right there in the altar, and suddenly you're looking at it, and you're thinking of this man, and who was he? And why is he mad? And why is he, like, you start thinking about who these people were. This is my grandpa that I never met. And then you turn around and you go, hey, Mom, so can you tell me about my grandpa? And then my mom would tell me like the most amazing stories of my grandfather and his brother. It's almost like she's telling you like a movie, like that's how good her detail is. Like you can see it, how they lived, the way that they thought, what they felt about stuff, and ultimately how they tragically died. So I think the altar brings those people back to us in a way that, reading about them or seeing them in pictures that are just framing there, suddenly we get to know them. And we get happy because we feel that they're there, eating the food, the soul of the food. And then the next day, I'm going to get to eat that food. So like, you can read a lot about the significance of the altar, but I think for every family, the altar is different. But for me and for my mom, I think that was like the one day that our grandpa came to visit us, right? Because we'd never been able to meet him. But that night, we get to meet him in some way.
Thank you, Angel, for that beautiful description of what it was personally in your family. We're going to move to the second part of this questionnaire. And this is going to Ana Maria.
Okay.
What are some of the symbols or rituals that are common on an altar?
Okay, the altar itself is full of symbolism. It's so full of symbolism that it just, each item represents something. So you have lots of, first of all, we have lots of candles that kind of represent the light with the idea of, there's the light of the world, and it's a way to show the way to the relatives or the souls coming back for a visit, especially children. There is also the flowers that we use, all kinds of flowers, because of their essence, the aroma, to call on the souls to come and visit, especially the marigold, the flower marigold, in Spanish or Aztec or Nahuatl, cempasúchil, is very popular this time of the year. It's the vibrant color, the orange color. The orange is considered the color of the dead, el anaranjado. And in the Spanish tradition, the purple, in the Catholic tradition, the purple is the symbol of death. But in the Mexican tradition, is the orange. So it's a combination of orange and morado, also purple. And so it's lots of vibrant color because of those very bright colors. We have the copal. Usually there is burning of incense. In the Aztec tradition, the copal of white incense was usually burned also to create also the aroma, to help the dead coming back to their homes. Salt, is element of purification. Lots of different elements and ingredients. The 4 elements of life are included too. Water and fire with the candles, fruit and ashes as earth, and the wind is signified by papel picado. That's the meaning of the wind. Papel picado also signifies the fragility of life, and so it's used all the time, as ornament and also as part of the altar. What else? And so we have lots of different items. Foods, of course, like Angel was saying, the food is a very important part of the altar. I would say, most foods that are placed in the altar are products that have its origin or their origin in the American continent. For instance, you see people prepare mole, which is a sauce with chocolate, which is chocolate combination of chiles and seeds, and then it's a sauce that goes with turkey, which is also native of America, the turkey. And so you have mole, and you have a lot of different squashes that are popular or they were original from American continent, and tomatoes and lots of different products original from the Aztec culture. But of course, if a person in your family likes spaghetti, of course, you go ahead and prepare a dish of spaghetti to place in the altar, because besides these traditional products, you want to have the foods that are that were, how would I say, a delicacy for the people that we are celebrating. Also, another thing that you see a lot are skulls. Skulls are, it's a symbol for death and rebirth. And so the idea of the skeleton being whimsical, it's not there to scare you. The skeleton in the Mexican tradition signifies, like I said, life, rebirth, death and rebirth. And so it's used and decorated with very colorful, in a very colorful style, because it signifies fiesta. It's a fiesta. It's a happy occasion. It's not an occasion. It's not a Halloween. It's not scary. The music is everything related to the altar is very positive, very, very lively, very lively. So I would say, pictures of the person, like Angel said, his grandfather's pictures, anybody who's being celebrated or honored is right there, pictures. Also an item that the person wore, maybe, watch or fan or an umbrella, something like that. It was special for that specific person. What else would I say? Oh my goodness. Well, lots of different good things. I would say, some Christian symbols. For instance, the cross is always part of that. The Christian, and also different saints is very important. As you know, the religion of the Aztecs was more like a cosmic religion, and it's combined
with the religion of the Aztecs. Maybe we can tie in to Fonda, because we're starting to run out of time. Thank you so much for all your. All right. It's so much to say, right? And Angel, we're going to skip you in this one because you share already a lot about symbolism for your family. So we're going to bring Fonda for the second question, and then we're going to move to the third one. All right. Okay, Fonda, what is your take on this question of symbolism and ritual?
Oh yeah, no, Ana Maria did. That was a great answer. There is a lot. I might only add that, which I just thought of with Ana Maria talking about purple, the coxcomb is also really popular on Day of the Dead altars or around events. The coxcomb is that kind of cauliflowery purple flower that kind of complements the cempasúchil. November 1st is given to children who have died, and November 2nd is to celebrate adults who have died. And so on graves of children, you might see toys, you might see clothes, you might see candy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, you guys. I mean, I know we can talk for hours on this thing. I could share my own experience too, but we have to keep on time, on task. So as a reminder to all our audience tonight, please put your questions for our panelists in regards to Dia de los Muertos in the chat bar. And before we continue the conversation, I have another question for our panelists. Sorry, not for the panelists, for our audience. We are going to show a poll that will allow you to choose what other topics would you be interested in learning about. So if you don't see the topic that you don't in the poll that you're interested in, you can also type your idea into the chat bar. And that way you can let us know what you're interested in. Thank you for sharing ideas, you guys. And don't forget to ask questions to our panelists. Okay, now let's go back into the Dia de los Muertos. So what other traditions are commonly associated with Dia de los Muertos? Angel, please tell us.
Well, actually, Halloween. Because even though Halloween is very own specific one, you know, it was also floating around when I was growing up. We just called it El Día de las Brujas, you know? And so for the kids today, those two are sort of intertwined, and sometimes they think that Halloween and Dia de los Muertos is the same. But whereas Halloween has become, well, in American tradition, more of a cultural and commercial phenomenon, Dia de los Muertos has managed to retain its cultural and religious roots. Dia de los Muertos also does have a origin to pre-Hispanic America, to the Aztecs specifically, in the way that they looked at life and death, because they believed that there was no hell. There was different versions of heaven, and children went to a different heaven, and older people went to a different heaven, and soldiers went to a different heaven, but everyone went to heaven. So the Aztecs believed that death was not to be feared, and they laughed at it. And I think that reflects in the traditions of Dia de los Muertos today. And Halloween, because it's such a happy holiday, I think also has become intertwined in the general perception of Dia de los Muertos.
Thank you, Angel, for that answer. Ana Maria, shortly, can you tell us really quick what other traditions are commonly associated with Dia de los Muertos? You're muted.
I was going to say, I kind of disagree with Angel about Halloween being related to Dia de los Muertos. I see them as two different, completely different traditions, but I can understand with what Angel is saying about the calaverita. You know, in the old days, children will go house to house asking for a calaverita, and then they took a small box and they asked for not for candy, they actually asked for coins. You know, it was the calaverita to buy something later. You know, so they will go and ask for, can I have my calaverita? They will say, when they were children would say that, and the relatives, everybody will give them a little bit of coins and money and to buy more stuff. But so this, I see that relationship to Halloween, but that's the only one, because to me it's like very you know, more in a way more spiritual, the tradition of Dia de los Muertos, more spiritual, and you know, you can help it but related to religion. And in this case, it's the Catholic religion combination with the Aztec religion. And I think the image of Our Lady Guadalupe is always very much part of any altar. And the reason being is because she's not only a religious image, but she is a cultural image. She signifies, you know, in the cosmic religion of the Aztecs, is very important. Right there, you can tell that she is standing on a crescent moon, you know, and it's the god of the moon. And then she's also wearing in her shawl, is wearing a lot of stars, the stars of the world, the universe, you know, signifying the universe, and also the rays of the sun are behind her. So she symbolizes the people of Mexico. Also, she's pregnant. You can tell that she's wearing a ribbon on her waist. So she's Mother Earth. She signifies Mother Earth. So we're seeing a combination right there of the Aztec religion, which was a cosmic religion, with the Catholic religion, and so it's this very, very, very important image in our culture. And so also, the Catrina was kind of invented by a printmaker, as an artist in Mexico, Jose Guadalupe Posada, around the turn of the century. And he dressed up the Catrina in a skeleton as the Catrina, as the elegant woman, as a criticism of the Mexican society in that time. Because at the time we had a dictator, Porfirio Diaz, and he was trying to bring Mexico to the level of Europe. And so to the expense of the lower classes, which were really struggling. It was type of slavery per se for the lower classes. And so Posada had a way of doing this, how would I say, sarcastic, comic, political criticism. And so he dressed up the skeleton like Catrina, showing that she's dressed in the European style of the time, but yet the skeleton underneath signifies the Aztec culture, which is, again, we go back to the idea that we are mestizo people. It's a combination of the two cultures of the indigenous people of Mexico and the Spaniards. And so we are definitely, like the way Lady Guadalupe portrays, we are brown people, we are mestizo people. The Catrina does the same thing in a way. So that's what I was going to add, another way of celebrating Dia de los Muertos with those figures.
All right, thank you so much. We're running out of time, so I am going to go into the audience questions, and that's going to go to Fonda. This is an interesting question. Let's see how we can tie it in with our theme, but it is a nice question, so we want to throw it out there. So Fonda, the question is, what do you think is the role of Latinos, Latinas, Latinx in the history of Idaho?
Sorry, it's catching me off guard only because I thought that was a topic someone was polling on that they'd be interested in seeing, as opposed to approaching it here. I don't honestly know that I could speak to that. I think that might be a better question for Ana Maria.
Maria, I don't know how we can reconstruct that one, because it is kind of a question, but I guess we can try to answer it, or we can move to some of the other ones. What do you think, Ana Maria?
Yeah, well, it's a very interesting subject too, the history of the Latinos in Idaho. And I definitely have a lot of information about that. We've been here for many, many years, from the beginning. After the Native Americans were next in Idaho. And so just recently, we've been doing a lot of research about our history. So we have so much history about us now. And so I don't know, maybe there will be for another day, another subject, I will say. But we can say that all of us here, because we've been so involved with the culture and the history of the Latinos, we also promote some of our traditions, which is Dia de los Muertos. And thanks to that, we've been seeing more interest, especially right now at the Historical Museum. We're having some programming coming up, in October. And it's very interesting, including bringing in together a lot of artists and a lot of different people that are interested in promoting or showing the traditions that are connected to the Dia de los Muertos.
So perhaps it will be more into, like, by doing this, the celebration of these traditions, which is kind of engaging so much of our community, we are building history.
We are, and we're celebrating history, because, as a matter of fact, Angel, who is a musician, and I'm a singer, so we're going to be actually performing some of the corridos, celebrating some of the people, the Latino community that have passed away.
And I'm going to do a wrap up here, because I'm gonna give our audience some of those important dates.
Yes.
So thank you all all of you guys for joining tonight. This is an amazing subject. I think we can spend a long time again. Thank you to our panelists especially, and to all the audience. The Idaho State Museum is committed to providing opportunities like this to share with our visitors while at home or on site. We want to hear from you in the chat bar, and you will see a link as well for a short survey. Tell us more about yourself and which kind of events you're looking for. As well, you will be getting an email tomorrow with the links, all the important links mentioned tonight. In addition to the panel discussion tonight, we're offering a variety of other events, like Ana Maria was saying, and activities related to Dia de los Muertos on-site and off-site and virtually. Two upcoming events on the Idaho State Museum is Saturday, October 23rd. We'll have a ton of family activities, the screening of Disney, Pixar, Coco, and more. And on October 27th, we are going to be having a workshop with Fonda and Ana Maria about how to build an altar. So stay tuned with those. Go to the Idaho State Museum website and check for more information. It's history.idaho.gov, and you will get more times and details about that. Thank you tonight. We want to as well say thank you tonight for our sponsor for Dia de los Muertos, which is MoFi. MoFi provides financing and consulting to entrepreneurs and small businesses owners, and as well as affordable housing solutions. They continue to expand their services where needed while staying true to their mission or transforming lives and strengthening communities. To learn more about our sponsor, MoFi, and what they offer, go to their website, mofi.org.com. I mean, sorry, not .com. And thank you so much, all of you guys, for staying here tonight. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for